Welcome to the Consulting Leaders Podcast, where we talk about the business of consulting. Whether you're looking to grow your practice or learn from the stories of leaders in consulting, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Guillaume Jouvencel, ex-PwC and co-founder of GHA Marketing. Join me as I interview the best consultants in their niche. Let's get on with the show. Ellie, welcome to Consulting Leaders. Happy to have you.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Let's have fun indeed. So, what originally pulled you into the fantastic yet stressful world of consulting and advisory, Ellie?
Life. Life just unfolded and creating opportunities, building businesses. That's kind of my superpower. So it's always just been innate. But through every twist and turn of life, every job I've ever had since I was 11 years old has added to the skill set and just kind of naturally primed me. So whether I was in sales or marketing, whether I was in management training or recruiting or interviewing, it all added to the overall picture that just made sense. I mean, managers, if they're well equipped, naturally consult and advise, right, with their teams and their downlines. And so it just evolved. And then later, when I got into law and academia as the dean of a law school, running the whole school, as the dean of a school of criminology and criminal justice, running the whole school, and became the staff attorney to a federal judge and spent 22 years with the federal judiciary, specifically focusing on employment discrimination, Title VII, things like that. It added to the overall skill set, and people just started naturally coming to me and saying, hey, you have a business background, you have an education background, you have a psychology background, and you have a legal background. Can you help us figure out these issues that we're having? And so governments started coming to me, universities started coming to me, entrepreneurs, corporations, NGOs, nonprofits, and it just took off from there.
I like that, which is the very natural way of getting into consulting life, as you just said, after all. So what is the number one problem that you solve now with your business? What do you help people achieve?
I think right now we're seeing such changing conditions in companies. We're seeing changing economies, changing workforce, changing laws with recent, Supreme Court decisions in the U.S., but also across the globe. We're seeing different ways of handling things like DEI, accommodations for disabilities, marketing practices, AI, technological advances. We're just really seeing an intersection. And we're seeing that the older workforce that is used to doing things a certain way is now retiring. And we have an emerging workforce that does things differently. They expect different things from their employers. They're much more conscious about a company's footprint, their contribution. So what we're seeing is a lot of uncertainty within corporations, within organizations on how do they proceed, right? So it's more than just processes and systems and optimization. It's how are they attracting and retaining top talent? How are they adjusting their policies to AI, to changing technologies, and to changing laws? And how do we navigate that shift between the old guard and the new guard, while looking forward and building sustainable systems in uncertain economies, uncertain marketplaces, and the like. And so the problem that I'm really helping organizations to solve is how do we look at it holistically, and how do we build aligned systems and programs that and policies that adjust as needed, but also that are forward looking and don't lose the human in kind of the big cog, because that losing the human isn't going to work for the the rising workforce. It's not going to work for the younger generation. And no matter what, at the end of the day, human capital is your most valuable capital. So just helping them navigate all the uncertainty and looking at it through the human lens, business lens, education lens, training lens, legal lens, and with that eye to the future.
So super clear. Who do you help with that? Like, do you have a specific industry, a specific company size, a specific decision maker? Like, who benefits the most from all this?
I actually don't have a specific size. It's very interesting who has naturally come to me. Like I said, I've helped governments, I've helped universities, I've helped NGOs, I've helped major corporations, I've helped nonprofits, and I've helped your mid to high six figure entrepreneur who's looking to scale to seven figures and kind of hitting that uncomfortable point where their bandwidth is depleted, their resources are being stretched, but they really want to go to that next level. So basically, the through line of people who come to me, you have to be in integrity. I will not work with companies that are only driven by bottom line money. Yes, that's obviously important. Your bottom line is what allows the company or the organization to exist. It's what allows them to provide goods and services. So it's critical. But if their motivation is strictly, I want to make the most amount of money, no matter the cost, I want to slash and burn, I won't work with them. So they really need to be in integrity. They need to have an eye towards impact and growth and contribution. What is your footprint? What are you building? How is it helping? What are you leaving behind? So there needs to be some consciousness, some level of consciousness and greater good.
I like that. Is there, so company size makes sense, mission driven, that makes sense. And there is no, okay, let me rephrase this. I'm fumbling here. Government, universities, NGOs, non-profits, for-profits, mid to high six figures. That's such a broad spectrum.
It is.
How do you market? How do you brand? How do you get, in front of the right people when you can help so many different people?
It's amazing. People generally come to me and they find me because I speak on a lot of stages around the world. I do a lot of podcasts. I'm a 12-time #1 international best-selling author. I run a publishing house, so I help a lot of people refine their message, their methodology, their expertise, right? Get it out into the world, which naturally then gets referrals. So people find out about me. I'm an educational consultant to the State Bar of California. So I interact with a lot of law schools and other organizations. Through that, people come to me with that. I speak at masterminds. I host retreats. So a lot of it is just exposure to me, either through books, through podcasts, through speaking engagements, and of course, referrals.
So that's a very interesting one. How do you choose what to talk about at your speaking engagements? How you position the content? How you position yourself at the end of the day to attract such a varied, diverse audience and therefore clients?
So when I'm deciding what exactly to speak about, the very first thing I want to know is who's in the audience and what are they struggling with and what do they need? Because at the end of the day, whether I'm speaking on a podcast or writing a book or speaking on stage or working with a client, it's not about me. So I don't actually market me. I just serve. I add value. I serve. I'm like, what are you struggling with? What do you need? All right, great. Let's brainstorm it. Talk to me. What have you done? What's worked? What hasn't? Pull up the numbers. Let me see your metrics. Let me, look at these things. All right. So I see an issue here. I see an issue here. And then let me help you resolve that. And I can do that same process, whether I'm speaking on stage, because I've spoken to the event organizer ahead of time. They know who's in the audience. They know what their audience is struggling with. They know the outcomes their audience desires. And so at the end of the day, I'm always strategy first, and I'm always client focused first. It's results driven, it's outcomes driven, and it's problem solving. And that doesn't change no matter whether it's, a podcast, a speaking engagement, clients, whether it's an NGO, a government, a university, an entrepreneur. Process doesn't matter. What to talk about is always going to be what they need. And then how can I add value to that? How can I bring some clarity to them? And of course, then understanding buyer psychology, understanding employee psychology, understanding management psychology, understanding owner psychology, and understanding just basics how humans work, how we think, what our fears are, what our objections are, where our discomfort arises, what we want at the end of the day, what we are afraid of. So just understanding everything allows me to just go and do my thing.
I like that. Tell me more about how you move the needle forward for your business after that. So I love the positioning of like, I'm here to serve, and then we see what happens. It's very much like, mission driven.
Yeah.
How do you move from those though to actual sales conversations, actual SOWs, actual letter of engagements? Like, how do you go from, the audience in the speaking engagements, the people reading your content to, hey, Ellie, let's rock and roll here. Let's do this together. How do you do that?
Absolutely. So it usually starts, like I said, they've seen me, they've heard me, they feel a connection, they feel like she knows what she's talking about and she may be able to help. They'll reach out, we'll get on a call. That call is entirely focused on what's the problem you're facing, what's the outcome you're needing, what are your bottlenecks, what have you tried? So even on those very preliminary kind of discovery calls, I want to get a finger on the pulse of at least those things. Generally, if even on the discovery calls, which isn't with the decision maker, it's with, someone who's a gatekeeper, often. If I can get them to have an aha, an insight, if I can give them a valuable piece of advice, if I can give them one thing that they can do, even where they are as the gatekeeper, towards solving that problem that they have, they are very likely to go running to the next level up, which could be the decision maker, or maybe it's, just a higher level gatekeeper, but they're going to run to them and say, she's amazing. She totally gets it. She understood, what we're doing and where the issues are. She was able to quickly provide this insight and this recommendation. I think we need to have another conversation with her, or I think we need to bring her in. And then that next level conversation is going to be a deeper dive. It's going to be longer. And I'll be equipped when I go into that. I'll be able to say, so I understand you're really struggling with this and you're looking to solve this particular issue, and you've tried these things in the past and these are the results you've gotten. Now, I recommended when I spoke to so-and-so, this particular action that could be taken. Have you guys been able to do that? Have you had time to implement that action? Oh, no? Okay, great. Well, let's figure out how we can, give you an implementation plan to at least get the ball rolling throughout this process. If I can do that at the next level, they're running to the decision maker and they're like, she's unbelievable. She totally gets it. She's, giving us actionable tools and strategies. I do not give fluff. I really don't like when people give fluff. As a strategist, everything is going to be actionable tools and strategies that are easy to implement, that they can start to deploy to move that needle. And so again, by serving, by staying mission driven, by listening, by understanding, it really escalates the conversation quickly. So it doesn't take long to get to the decision maker. And by the time we get to the decision maker, they know I get it And then we can talk process. I could say, okay, look, what's your timeline? What's your budget? Who are you looking to include in the implementation? Is this for all the levels? Is this just for C-suites? Are you looking for assessment and an implementation plan? Are you looking for me to come in and do trainings? Are you looking at for me to come in and revise your policies? Like, what is the scope that you are looking for me to do, given that I can bring all these different aspects to it? And then we can really kind of finalize details and go from there.
I like that. I'm a bit curious, like, how do you, so because you're so mission and value driven, I'm going to assume, you correct me if I'm wrong here, that client retention is something you value a lot, right?
Oh, for sure. It's key.
So 100%. How do you optimize for that? How do you make sure that once you start working with someone who's been naturally attracted to you, right? So that's good because you almost don't have any selling to do because people are already convinced. They come to you naturally.
Yeah.
And then you work with them. How do you optimize for retention, Ellie? How do you make sure that, once you start working with a client, you can keep on delivering value so that they get that and you keep on, getting them as a client as well? How do you optimize around that?
Absolutely. I over deliver. I am present with them. I'm not distracted. I actually follow through, which sounds basic, but you'd be shocked how many people don't. So I check in with them. I communicate. I do what I say I'm going to do when I say I'm going to do it. And I follow up. I iterate, I optimize, we measure, everything is data driven. So I want to see the numbers. They know that I'm keeping my finger on the pulse. They know I'm keeping my finger on the pulse of their business, of what we're working on. And I demonstrate to them that I'm keeping my finger on the pulse of their industry. I am making sure I'm staying up to latest trends and shifts and legal decisions that may be coming down that may affect them. So I'm able to bring to them and say, hey, just so you know, there's going to be some changes coming down the pike. I think we need to start to anticipate and adjust now. Well, they see that I'm forward thinking. They're getting the results. I'm over delivering. I'm accessible. I'm communicative. I'm dependable. I'm reliable. I serve from the heart and they feel it and they know it. And so client retention for me is a no-brainer. I also really optimize and make it accessible, that we have benchmarks that compensation can reflect that. So for me, it should always be a stretch for them, but doable. And then they have skin in the game. I have skin in the game, and we grow together. So from the very beginning, it is optimized. It is contemplated that this is going to be a long-term relationship, that we are going to grow together. We are going to optimize together. And hey, every championship team has a coach. Every president has an advisory council. So it's absolutely critical. It's not that they solve this one problem and then they never have another problem, or that they solve this one thing and circumstances aren't going to change. That's the one, change is the one constant in life. So if they know that I'm partnering with them, I'm here for them, I'm effective, I'm delivering results, then it makes sense, once I know the ins and outs of their business, to keep me around. Right? Because I can continue to optimize things. We can continue to iterate. We can continue to innovate. They're not needing to bring someone else in and bringing them up to speed. By that point, also the relationships. I know their people. I know their teams. I know what works with them. I know what doesn't. I start to be able to read them and read their body language and read their facial expressions. So I know when something is working and when something isn't. So it just makes sense to keep me around. So client retention, not an issue for us. And referrals. We have such a high referral rate because I get results.
At the end of the day, this is what matters.
Yes.
Okay, you've been flying through this interview, Ellie. So let me ask you a bit of a curveball then.
Yeah, great.
What's your number one challenge? What is the one thing that is not going yet as well as you'd like?
Well, just bandwidth, right? We have, and that's a great issue to have, right? It's great to be book solid. It's great to have more business than I can handle. So I am going to need to shift into bringing on more people and having a bit of an agency model. Right. And I have incredible people that I can bring on. So in order for me to continue to serve at the level that I would like to serve and to not be turning away so many clients, that's what I'm going to need to do. To date, people are hiring me because I'm a one-stop shop, right? Because they don't need to bring in legal and HR and marketing and sales and training and education. And they don't need to bring in all these different people when they have me, because I can bring all of it to the table and bring that holistic approach. So that's why they hire me. It's more cost effective to have me do all of that than bring in 7, 8, 9 people. But ultimately, the way that I'm going to need to overcome the bandwidth challenge is to bring on other aligned experts and create that team.
That is a very nice challenge to be facing.
Yeah.
It's a good problem to have. What's one big opportunity that you see in your space? So beyond recruiting the right team members that are going to help you keep on growing, what's the number one opportunity that you see in your space and that you're looking forward to? I was going to say exploit, but that's maybe not the right word. More like take advantage of in your industry.
Yeah, I think right now the uncertainty is the uncertainty of the world, business, changing economies, geopolitical situations, inflation, this, that, and the other, right? Like changing workforce, changing workplace. I think the uncertainty that so many executives, owners, founders are feeling right now is my biggest opportunity, right? Because I am a master at bringing clarity to chaos. And so when they're feeling very uncertain of like, I don't know what to do. What we've been doing is no longer working. It's not working on the ad space. It's not working in the marketing space. It's not working in the recruiting space. It's not definitely not working in the retention space. Employees are quitting right and left, or their productivity is down, and we don't even know what policies to create because the laws keep changing and the temperature, the cultures keep changing. Supply chain issues and blockchain and economies and geopolitics. And so all of that they're struggling with, like, I love that. Bring it on. Bring me in, let me help you make sense of it all. Let me help you put it all together, and let me help you create a plan that allows you to scale sustainably while being agile, innovative, in integrity, aligned, being able to build something that not only serves your bottom line, but is good for your people, is good for the planet, is good for your legacy. So I love that uncertainty.
Ellie Shefi, ladies and gentlemen. Ellie, if people want to find out more about you, see what you do, where should they go?
They can come to ellieshefi.com. Of course, Ellie Shefi on all social media. So connect with me, reach out, send me your questions. I'm happy to answer them.
We'll put all the links in the description. What I can say for sure is that you've gained at least one new connection out of this interview, Ellie. Me, I just added you on LinkedIn. Thank you so much for coming on Consulting Leaders.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Consulting Leaders podcast. We hope you learned valuable lessons on how to grow your practice and take your business to the next level. Make sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you're listening to this show so you never miss an episode. To apply and be a guest on the show, click the link in the description. See you next time.